Hey, welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm your host, Jim Cockrum. Today, I've got a very special friend of mine. He goes way back in this community. We've been working together for a while, multiple projects. He's another one of these guys. He and his wife figured out, Ryan and Elaine Rieger, they figured out the multiple income stream game quite a while back. And way back in episode 40, you can hear Ryan and I kind of getting caught up to where his business was then. So if you want to jump back and get some history, we'll fill in some gaps. So we're not going to tell a lot of the same story again today. But man, it's great having Ryan Rieger on the line with us. Since he was here with us last on the show, they've had a baby. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. And his business has literally exploded. We were just chatting a little bit offline about all the different projects and things that he's involved with. He's on our team, so he's got some things going on there. He's got plenty of things going on his own. He's got a book that he's excited about. But the thing that's so cool to me, before I turn the microphone over to Ryan, is it's yet another dad that gets to be home. That's the exciting part for me. Anytime I get to hang out with another dad who went from a job, and he was proud of his job, and he was good at it, and he was making good money, but it was a job, and it was somewhere he had to go every day, and now he's home. And we're going to see him. If you're on YouTube, as a reminder, guys, most people hear these episodes only. You have the opportunity to watch most of our episodes now. This is another one that's on YouTube. So there's a link in the show notes at silentjim.com/podcast. There's a link right to YouTube. You can watch many of these episodes too and get to hang out with Ryan and I a little bit in video form. But hey, Ryan, great to have you on the show today, man. Welcome back to Silent Machine Radio.
Glad to be back. It's so funny you say way back, but we go way back. I've been on your list since about 2003 or 4, but didn't really connect with you in 2012. That's only been 6 years ago. And so, but that's way back in the internet.
Oh, dude, that's a lifetime ago. Yeah. It's like dog years in the internet.
Right. Totally is. Yeah. Lots happened lots happened in 6 years, but even more has happened just in the last, I guess that would have been about 20 months ago because the release date of episode 40 was February 15th, 2017.
Man, it's been that long.
Yeah. And Callan, my son, was born on April 10th.
Little baby Callan. When was he born?
April 10th of 2017. So he's 18 months old now.
We might hear him in the background. Sometimes he makes an appearance and just kind of takes
hear him right now. Yeah.
Which is fine.
I don't have on my door. I have French doors and they don't lock. And so many times I'm on webinars. He will just walk in the door and
Beautiful.
It's just a season and I'm okay with it. It is a little bit distracting, but I welcome it. So right now, actually, Elaine put a ribbon. She ties it so he can't actually get in.
Oh, that's
on something really important like this.
I bet if we took a virtual vote, though, 90% of the people would be like, "No, dude, let Callan in the office. We want to see."
Totally, I can make that happen if you want me to.
Hey, if you want to, I'm all game, dude. I'd love to see him. I haven't seen him in a
second.
He's growing every few days. So yeah, we'll get him on the show.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. So,
yes. That's the biggest thing in my life, probably. The most important thing that's happened. I don't know. We don't talk a lot about this much, Jim, but the struggles that Elaine and I had, and we had 3 miscarriages before Callan. And, that's incredibly hard, especially hard for a woman. And, as a guy, there's really not much you can do about it.
Right.
I feel like we're in control of business. I know that if I need to do something, I know how to make it happen in business. But with that, it's like, you just got to trust God. And so this is our miracle baby.
Dude, cool.
This is Callan.
For the listeners, if you're listening only, this is one of those episodes. You're going to jump over and see this cute little kiddo. Hey, Callan, how you doing, buddy?
Say hey. So he's our miracle baby, and he's just such a joy, and makes me excited about getting up every morning. So it's fun.
That's so great, and you get
fun
to be
stuff,
home, man. You know what? You have a list that you made. Let's hit that because you were in a place where you had a big vision for what you wanted to build, and then tell me when you made this list and what's on it of what you wanted to build.
Yeah. So, guys, in the end of 2008, I was working on a political campaign. We were unsuccessful. So I was out of a job. I was in Southern Indiana, and I knew 2 things that were happening. I knew I was going to move to Texas, and I knew I was going to get married, but I had no idea how I was going to provide for my wife and I. I had some desires. I'd been listening to, or, watching Jim and following him. I'd already read Silent Sales Machine by that time. I'd been on his email list since about 03 or 04. So now was the time to make that happen, but I was still looking at jobs too, because I was trying to be realistic. But my heart's desire was to build a business. And so I wrote down 6 bullet points in my journal. I like to journal. I don't do it as often as I should or as often as I want to, but I think it's a very important thing to do. It just helps me. It's fun to go back and watch and see what God has done in my life. And then also just write down dreams, desires, goals, frustrations, just, put life out there. So I wrote down, I wanted to have, if this was going to be a job or a business, my goal, my real desire, guys, was to have a business. But if it was going to be a job, I wanted the flexible hours. I wanted high pay. I wanted to be able to work from home. I wanted vacation time whenever I need it. I wanted to work with some really great people, and I wanted it to be a cause, a mission, a vision that I love and am passionate about. So with all those, it really points to having your own business. It'd be kind of hard to have a job that hits all those, I think. It'd be a unique job. But guys, that was 2009. That was January 2009. And as we're talking now, we're in October of 2018, and all those things happened within about 3 or 4 years of that time. So, and it's this community. And Jim, I'm just forever grateful to you for your mission of bringing dads home, because, Callan was born in last year, and I was already home and was able, I've not missed anything. I've been there for every single thing that's happened in his life, his first steps, his first words. Just right before we got on this, I was cleaning up food off the floor, because he likes to throw food on the floor from his high chair. So if anybody has advice on how to help that, I'm all ears. But I'm here, and I'm able to do those types of things. I'm able to help Melaine. I wake up with him. I'm the one that takes care of him in the morning so she can sleep in a little bit. And I get to do that because of what I've learned in this community. And I am just eternally grateful for that, and want to do everything I can to see more men and women that have that desire be able to do that. And guys, this business is a great way to do it.
That's beautiful, man. And from my vantage point, there's been a bit of a tipping point in my career that is just, at any given time, it's a beautiful thing that I can sit back and think of people like you, Ryan, and your wife, Melaine, and dozens of others who not only have built something awesome that they can be proud of and have a great story to tell, but they're working to make this community something truly special. That meets that last point that you had on your list. Like, you want to be part of some big vision, something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And you guys have fully bought into that.
Yep.
And we're truly impacting lives. We see it every day in our Facebook group.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of my big responsibilities is to stay out of the way sometimes, as these great creative leaders like you guys come up with these great ideas and projects. And my only role is to green light it.
Yeah.
And if I don't green light it, then it's tweaked a little bit and then it's green lighted. It's like, that's my role in doing great interviews like this, because there's so much momentum in our community right now. But I want to hear from you, from your perspective. What are some of the things that you're most excited about right now in our community? Maybe current projects, stuff that's coming up. I know you've got your book. We're going to hit that a little bit too, because that is a great book. I love the title. But what projects are you working on right now that you're excited about?
Wow. So many things have happened since we last talked and on the podcast, but we're obviously the Proven Q4 plan that we're in the middle of just creating great content for that. Guys, if you're in that or want to be in that, it's just our focus really this year is that we want you to be equipped to have an amazing Q4, but even more than that, to know what to do in 2019. So we're teaching strategies that'll help you way beyond Q4. It's not just here's deals, go out and buy those. It's teaching you how to fish, how to do this successfully, how to find replenishable items that can be the foundation of your business. So I'm loving that group. I'm loving being involved there and impacting lives there, because Q4 now is the time to really hit it hard. So that's fun. Danny Stock, I know he was just on the podcast. I just listened to that one a couple of days ago. He and I have partnered up, and that was in December of 2016. We partnered up and started an Amazon Legends group, which is kind of like just a way to imagine it as an Amazon support group. It's like the My Silent Team group, but much, 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 much smaller. And it's just a family. It's a family of sellers. We have tons of stuff in there, tons of content. Danny's, all of his software is free in there. We've created that, and that's really boomed since February 2017. I'm loving that group and being involved there. Of course, the PPL group, the Proven Private Label group that Ginny and I started in April of 2013 is still cranking. Love serving that community as well. Just we had a live event back at the end of June where we filmed the PPL 3.0 content, and that course will release early 2019. Been way more involved in the Proven Amazon course and webinars and being involved in that community and helping with everything going on behind the scenes, course creation. So that's like the course side and the info side, the E model of CES. And Jim, that's where my heart is. I love that stuff. And to piggyback on what you said, how to help, seeing people come home. Danny and I had a Legends conference in St. Louis a couple weekends ago, and a lady comes up to me and said, because of what they learned in the Legends group and in the My Silent Team group, she has her husband back. And she went in to explain that he went through a tough business, kind of similar to what JB mentioned in the last podcast, where they lost a lot of money on a business and his self-esteem went just into the basement and he felt he was worthless. But since finding the Proven Amazon course, he feels like she said he's excited about life again. She said, quote, "I have my husband back." And like, oh my gosh, what do you do with something like that? That to me is way more thrilling than opening up my seller app and seeing that I sold something on Amazon that day. That is why I do this. I want more people to have the experience that you and I have, that we can wake up pretty much when we want. Now, I can't anymore. I have an 18-month-old. He dictates when I wake up.
Yeah, the alarm clock.
But he's my alarm clock. But I have the freedom. And you talked before about you can take your kids to the zoo if you want. And when Callan's old enough to want to do that, I'm going to be able to do that. And like, hey, let's just cancel all my webinars. Let's go have fun. So that by far, all of that encompasses my desire to help people get where they want to be.
Well, you guys have really got the multiple income stream thing going, and you're an example of leveraging your own expertise to serve a community well and how you benefit from that. Example of relationships, establishing relationships and following up and serving, constantly be serving, constantly be giving. This is where it takes you. And from my vantage point, we need another 1,000 Ryan Riegers. It's not like, hey, all the positions are filled. No, if you're willing to give and to serve and to share, to constantly be learning, the multiple income streams are right there. That's the easy part. The relationships, that's a fun part. But to me, that's the slightly more challenging, is managing the relationships. The money part's easy.
Yep.
You have all these great relationships. It's managing the relationships. That's the secret. And I think that's what's led you to where you are, is you've done a really good job of serving and managing relationships, creating three-way wins. You've come to us with multiple ideas that benefit our community. They benefit us as the community gatekeepers, and they benefit you in some way. And those three-way wins are what's built my business. So when someone recognizes that and starts to take advantage of it, it's beautiful. So there's a lesson there for the listener of, the whole three-way win concept. It's not about you building your business.
Right.
Can you take those lessons and serve others? How can you be part of something bigger than yourself? And you've done a masterful job of it. I want to hit a couple of the bases some of the things you threw out there. You dropped some names, and people might be taking furious notes. One of the things you said, I'm going to see if I can get it to show up on camera. If you happen to watch on YouTube, provenq4plan.com. We'll put it in the show notes. It's also on your screen if you're on YouTube. Provenq4plan.com until the end of October. If you happen to be watching or listening to this episode after October 31st, 2018, the group is closed. You can get on the waiting list for next year. And we'll be doing some very special things in the Legends group after October 31st. So there'll be a link for that as well. It'll be a different link. We'll have a link for you for some details because basically that's the group where we live, eat, breathe, sleep 24 hours a day around the world, how to do retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. One of the basic foundational business models that we teach around here, but there's people who just live, eat, breathe. I mean, we've got people, Ryan, in our community that do $1 million in sales a year just with those models.
That's true.
Excuse me. Don't have my professional DJ voice.
That's all right. Drink some water.
Dude, something hit me. So we've got that group. It's dedicated to just that.
Yeah.
And if you want to jump in and hang out with people that do just that all day, every day, that's our group for that. So we've got that specialty group. And then you mentioned the private label group. Well, that's content that's also in our Proven Amazon course. But if you want to specialize in just that, yeah, we've got a dedicated group where we just hang out and talk private label topics. You and Jim manage that for us and do a masterful job of it. So you're involved in a lot of projects, but it all adds up to a very flexible lifestyle, very constantly up to date on what's going on and serving constantly. So it's a brilliant strategy that you've used to get your business where it is. And it's a pleasure partnering with you. But I just wanted to fill in a couple of those little gaps where people might say, hey, what's Legend? What's
right
2-4 plan? You know, so those links are all in the show notes, guys. Go to the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, below the video. If you're listening, go to silentjim.com/podcast.
Awesome.
And hey, you were telling me a story before we got going.
Yeah.
About the different kind of opportunities that kind of fall in your lap.
Yeah.
And you know, I was telling someone just yesterday, man, a lot of what I do is I leave my day open so that my phone can ring anytime. Great people can contact me with great ideas and we can figure out, you know, so I'm flexible here. So one of the conversations you had recently, we don't have to tell people what the product is or the players involved, but I loved the story behind it, this opportunity that fell in your lap because you have relationships with other people in our community. Why don't you tell us that story?
Yeah. So it is all about relationships, but a friend of mine who's in the community contacted me about, he wanted some advice. Guys, he was selling a product that he was getting at a retail store and it was flying off the shelves for him. And he suddenly couldn't get it anymore from the retail store. So guys, there's a lot of lessons in this what I'm saying. So follow what he did. He turns the package over on the back, sees an address, and I don't know if he emailed them or if he sent them a letter, but he contacted the actual company saying, hey, I don't know exactly what he said in that message, but you know, that he is interested in selling their products. He gets a phone call from one of the people at the company, and it happens to be a family member of the owner. And they explained to him that the owner passed away and they have sitting in a warehouse 240,000 units of this product that they don't want anything to do with. They don't want anything to do with the business whatsoever. They're paying storage fees on this stuff and they just want it out. And so he's contacting me for advice on how to approach that, what to do. You know, he doesn't, even if everything, you know, as $1 a unit, that's $240,000. Does he even want to sink that much in here in this community? We talk about, you know, mile wide, inch deep. That would be, you know, miles deep, you know, millimeters wide. And so what do you do with that? So I gave him what I think I would do. He contacts them back. Guys, all to fast forward the story, I bring in somebody else who I think would be beneficial to this. So the three of us are buying this company for pennies, essentially. We're getting all those 240,000 units up front for a fraction of what they're worth, and we're getting all their website, the product, they have some debt. I mean, they don't have debt. They're owed some money by one of the retail stores, so we get that, so we can get a collection person on that. Hopefully, recoup some of it. We have their contact list, their emails, all of that we get. So don't be afraid to turn the package over and contact the company.
So, and this is a product that was selling well. He was sourcing it retail, right?
Yeah.
He was just sourcing it retail, flipping it, making a nice profit, but all of a sudden he ran out.
Yep.
And so if you go on Amazon right now, there aren't any of these, but the demand is still there, right?
He actually there's a few other people that are still selling them, and I think he has ran out. But there might still be some floating around.
There's still a little floating around, but you guys will be the primary on a high demand product. It reminds me a little bit, Ryan, of a lesson that Teresa Rose shared with us. She's one of our coaches on our coaching team who specializes in wholesale.
Yep.
And one of the strategies that she uses is she'll go through and find very, very methodically, she'll dig in and find products that were hot sellers on Amazon, but now they've vanished for one reason or another. They're sold out. The company doesn't make them anymore. They're kind of gone.
Yeah.
And she will do kind of the homework that you just described. Like,
Yeah.
is anybody still making this? Is it floating around? Did it just vanish off retail shelves and maybe it's being
Right.
wholesaled now somewhere else? And,
Yeah.
you can only get it other ways. Or is there another product that we could flip in there in its place and take over that listing? So that was an episode. I don't know. We'll stick it in the show notes for the listeners.
Okay.
We're talking about a lot of links today, but I'll do my homework and find that episode where Teresa talked about that strategy. But it reminds me of, there's a lot of opportunity in paying attention to what vanishes off of Amazon.
Right.
Like it was really hot and now it's gone.
Right.
Opportunity
Right.
for somebody if you're willing to do the homework.
Yeah.
And you guys pursued it and you're buying. So I'm curious, did you, what kind of deal did you guys put together with the company? You don't have to give me the exact numbers or anything, but are you just like buying it all outright and shipping it to yourself? Or are you
going to
through it or
going to a warehouse and then that we have, and we are essentially, the deal is we're paying over a 5-year period, but because they suggested that because I guess, and I don't know all the details here, but they will avoid taxes if we gave them a whole bunch in one chunk, they would have to pay taxes on it. But if we do it over I think it's 5 years, I think is what it is. They avoid that because it's a much smaller amount. So essentially we get all that product that's worth X amount for a fraction of that X.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're leveraging, it's a beautiful example of leveraging someone else's inventory, effort, time, marketing, and all that. And you're coming in, they're in a desperate situation. They'd prefer cash over product and leveraging. Those kind of opportunities are everywhere.
Absolutely.
I like that story maybe takes people out of the mindset of, what am I going to sell? I got to go find a product, got to make a product, got to private label something. I have to go retail. No, there's hundreds of ways. This is yet another way.
Yeah.
Find products that have vanished off of Amazon and track them down. Odds are there's still some sitting around in a warehouse. And just because he flipped the product over, looked at the address on the back, the name of the company on the back, and sent them a letter. What's the worst they could have said? No, we're sold out. We no longer make it.
Exactly.
Life goes on. But they said, hey, we've got a bunch of this stuff we don't know what to do with. Do you want it?
Right.
Yeah. Sure thing. Totally. Beautiful. I love that story, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book.
Sure.
You have a copy of it handy you could show us, and I know you've just rewritten it, but the title is awesome.
It's a Living the Multiple Income Streams Dream. And so, guys, I've self-published several things through Amazon, through KDP and CreateSpace. But this is one that I had the opportunity to actually have an actual publisher do it. Morgan James is going to be publishing it. It's going to be my business card. Jim, you always talk about a book as your business card. I don't expect to make $1 million off of this book. It's my version of Silent Sales Machine. It's taking the C model, the E model, and the S model and telling my story behind it, a little bit of my backstory, and just kind of some motivation that you should be. I think you and JB talked about that. Don't just be an Amazon seller. That have multiple streams. And so I live it. I have about 16 different streams. Now, not all of them are big streams. Some are tiny. Like Jim, that Real Wholesale Sources book that you partnered with me on in 2013.
That's right.
Month, I still make money. Maybe like $50 a month off of that book, but that's $50. That's like free money to me. That book was written a long time ago, and it's still the content is still good. It's just one of those streams that's not a lot. And then I have some that are big streams, and so. That's going to be, I'm really excited because it's actually going to be published for real. Not that KDP is not real, but a traditional publisher is picking that up. And I just hope that it'll just help a lot of people get started with either model that makes sense for them. But just I want it to be a way for people to see that, hey, this is possible. You can live your dreams. You can work from home and everything that you and I get to do every day.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And you just rewritten it, so you got a new version coming out.
Yep.
When? Approximately?
They told me it'll be ready the end of December, most likely. The E version, the ebook version.
Gotcha.
Actually, I think they said I could probably order some copies by the end of December that are my own. But
so
then
for
they're
2019, if you listen to this episode after that, but the current version is out there right now on Amazon. We'll stick a link in the show notes. Again, going to be a lot of links in the show notes today, guys, to all kinds of cool resources. So you can go check out Ryan's book and how he's built multiple income streams, get inside his mind a little bit. And I think it might be useful too to share, what business were you in? We're not going to dive real deep into your old story, but you were in a pretty traditional business model. You had your own business, you were entrepreneurial, but it was kind of like you'd bought yourself a job, right? Talk us through what that lifestyle felt like and the transition a little bit.
Yeah. So I was, back to those 6 bullet points in 2009, we had been selling, when I moved here to Texas, I had some low hanging fruit, which was my wife and mother-in-law had started a furniture business selling furniture on Craigslist, very part-time. So I thought, now's my opportunity to do something. I don't have a job anyway. Let's see if we can make this work. So I started posting tons of listings on Craigslist, selling just in Dallas, Fort Worth. That first year, 2009, we sold $250,000 worth of furniture just in Dallas, Fort Worth, just on Craigslist. And so in that summer, Jim, is when I met you in Indianapolis. I won that auction. But yeah, it was a job. Now, for me, I enjoyed it because I was new to the area and I got to drive all around. I was the one delivering the furniture, picking it up from the wholesale company and delivering it to the customer. But it was fun for me because it wasn't before that, I was in a regular job. And so this felt like a lot of freedom to me. But pretty soon it became a little bit of a grind. And then when I met you, you told me about FBA, and I send small stuff to Amazon and use their fulfillment. And so we'd already had all these wholesale sources of furniture. And some of these shows we went to, there were other companies showing there at these trade shows, and they had small things. So I thought, wow, we can go, we already have these contacts. Let's start using FBA. And so once we started to do that, we took our focus away from furniture and focused more on FBA. And then the furniture just started to dwindle down. And now we haven't sold furniture in 3 years or 4 years, I think.
Right.
But you got to be willing to change. If I was still doing furniture, that would be such a hustle, and I would be gone, and Callan would be here walking, and I'd be missing it. And so, guys, just don't buy yourself a job. Think about what you really want to do and do that. And multiple streams is key. Not all of them have to be $1 million streams. I mean, they add up quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about multiple income streams, there's a couple themes, and since multiple income streams has been a theme of today's show, there's a couple misconception themes that kind of pop up every time. So let me just hit a couple of those, maybe for the benefit of the listeners. If you've never heard of this concept before, one thing that it doesn't mean when we say multiple income streams, it doesn't mean running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to juggle 15 different businesses.
Right.
Like, I got a dog grooming business, I got a dry cleaning business, and I got a pizza shop, and I've got all these multiple income. No, that's not how it works. That's a bad idea. You want to specialize, but as you specialize and you get really good at that thing that you're really good at, you're doing those things that only you can do, Ryan. There's things that only you can do. You get to partner up with other really great people. They're going to say, hey, I noticed that you're kind of a leader in this arena. I want to work with you on a project that's kind of related to what you're already doing. And then together you partner, and that synergy creates a new opportunity. And now it's kind of like a tree growing branches more than, digging 1,000 wells in a desert. It's like a tree with branches, or like I've heard it described as like a tributaries leading to streams, leading to rivers, it all feeds into the same. So in every arena, you're still the same guy. You're still kind of focused in the same special area.
Right.
But if one stream dries up or one opportunity starts to get more difficult, or you sell it off, or you move on, or the product sells out, you still got these other streams going. That's what it feels like. And it doesn't feel like you're managing chaos when you're doing it right. And I look at you, Ryan, you're not managing a chaotic lifestyle. It feels like, to me, the best word I've ever come up for, maybe you have a better word or maybe better image that comes to mind, Ryan, but to me, it feels like liberty. That's what it feels like. It feels like freedom. Multiple income streams feels like freedom and liberty. Is there any other word, image, or thought that comes to mind for you to help? Because we're so used to this. I've been doing it for 18 years now. I got to remember, it wasn't always that way. There's a lot of people, one paycheck from one person every 2 weeks. That's how they make their money. And that scares me to death to think of going back to that model. Like they've got that much control over my financial future.
Right.
So what thoughts come to mind for you, if anything, while I was saying that?
That's definitely one of them for sure. One, it's interesting you say that. A couple years ago, was chatting with a friend of mine who was in a mastermind group that I was a part of. He looked at me and said, you make it look all effortless. And it's because I don't run around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm trying every day to only work on things that I can do. This is still a constant process of getting rid of tasks that I shouldn't be doing. I still do tasks that I shouldn't be doing. I set up webinars. I'm doing things that a VA could do. I get that, and I'm constantly trying to do better at that. But he just noticed that all these things are happening. I have managing all these streams, but I'm not running around like crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm not stressed. Now that doesn't mean that doesn't mean things don't happen that I don't like or that are, frustrating things, but I don't get stressed about them. There's all these other, if one would happen to dry up like the furniture did, then I have all these other ones that can provide for our family. And so it kind of sometimes feels like it's effortless, even though I'm putting in effort, I'm working hard. But Jim, you talk about this too, is am I right now at this moment, we're on a podcast. Are we working or are we playing?
Yeah, I love this.
You're a friend of mine. And so to me, it's like, I'm just talking to a friend. And are we Yeah, technically we're probably, if you look at it, we're working because we're creating content to serve our community. And that's where our job is this community. But it's just fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, to add to that, I don't know, am I being a good husband, a good dad, a friend, a business builder? It all runs together.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Your kid was just in your office. And if he needed you again right now, or if your wife needed you right now, we'd like, all right, pause, man. We'll pick it up again here in a few.
Exactly.
Like we'll finish the recording tomorrow.
Right.
It's complete flexibility, effortless liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the words. When you're doing it right, that's what it feels like. But I so relate to the frustration of people who, and I think one of the things that sneaks into people's brain is, okay, multiple income streams means I got to learn a bunch of stuff. I got to tackle a bunch of projects. I got to bounce from one thing to the next is what they end up doing. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. Around here, we have a saying, bolt, don't bounce. You've heard me say it before, guys. That came from Scott Miller, who is my partner, Brett Bartlett's father-in-law. He's kind of the Yoda of our community. I mean, this guy has operated multi-million dollar, hundreds of $1 million budgets for mega corporations and been an entrepreneur all his life. So big numbers just don't scare the guy.
Right.
I mean, he talks about $200 million budgets like we talk about what we're going to have for lunch. So it's just real refreshing to have that guy in our life, kind of helping calm us as the numbers get big and scary. Mm-hmm. But something he said is bolt, don't bounce, meaning when multiple income streams, you want to bolt these things down. So there's a period of intense focused effort that has gone into every income stream Ryan and I have ever created. But after that, you pass it off. And one of the things you got to get good at doing is saying, okay, I could make 100% of the money if I did all this myself. Mm-hmm. Am I willing to take 30% of the money to just be the guy that launches it? Mm-hmm. And then let that 70% go to other people who are running it with excellence.
Yeah.
When offered that option, you take it every single time, because that allows you to bolt it down.
Yep.
And then move on to another opportunity, knowing that 30% is yours, or that 25% or that 5% or whatever that number is, but you're not having to work your tail off to get it. But it means you've got to be good at creating profitable systems. But that's what we teach around here, guys. That's the vision. Mm-hmm. I've frustrated some people before when, basically my challenge to them is, hey, could you leave right now for 2 or 3 weeks if you had to? What would your business look like if you had to leave for 2 or 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. And until you can say, yeah, it would be okay. I mean, I'd have to make a couple phone calls maybe, but yeah, it'd be okay. You don't really have an entrepreneurial operation. You don't really have a business that you own. Your business owns you. And the goal is to get to that point.
Right.
And I feel the need to point out right now too, Ryan, because some people say, okay, well, it's just me right now, so I need to go hire a bunch of people to do the stuff I don't want to do. No, that's not how it works. Your first hire, this is the biggest mistake you could make. So pay attention here. If it's just you and your wife, and you don't have anyone helping you yet, your first hire needs to be somebody that puts money in the bank. Not somebody that you pay to do the stuff you don't want to do. It needs to be somebody that duplicates your efforts and puts money in the bank. They need to pay for themselves.
Yeah, like a shopper for retail arbitrage, for example.
Exactly. Perfect example. You turn them loose using the strategies that you've picked up in the provenq4plan.com group. You say, hey, you're going to go do this. And he'll pay you a little bit, but it's not going to last very long unless you're putting money in the bank. Right. And I'm going to give you a lot of that money you put in the bank, but you're going to put money in the bank. And then you use that extra revenue. That's where you start automating and bringing in virtual assistants or a secretary. Someone else can answer the phone. Someone else can do customer support. You don't start there though, because otherwise you'll end up spending all your revenue on and thinking, I'm too good to put tape on boxes. I'm too good to sweep the floor. No, you're a guy doing it all until someone else is putting money in the bank. Because I've seen people go down the wrong path, taking well, Jim said I shouldn't put tape on boxes, so I'm going to hire somebody right now. Well, you got to make sure you're profitable. So absolutely. What other thoughts come to mind? I know you've got to jump on another webinar. I got another call to do here soon, but are there any last comments or any other thoughts that you want to jump into as we get caught up with Ryan and Mullane?
Gosh, I would just say, guys, thinking about some of the content that's in this book, the Living the Multiple Income Streams dream that I'm passionate about, and of course, multiple income streams is one. I like asking people 3 questions, Jim, and it's what does your ideal day look like? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And what is your motivation to make the above happen? And I am a big believer of writing things down. Write down, so those 6 bullet points that I had, the flexible hours, high pay, work from home, vacation when I wanted it, great people to work with, and a mission and vision that I love and I'm passionate about. I wrote it down, and now I can look back and see that happened. Back in 2012, I wrote down where I wanted to be 5 years from then. And all of those things that I wrote down, I have. And it's not like magical. I mean, I believe it's all the Lord, but it's just, there's something about writing it down. So guys, write down what you want. What does your ideal day look like? What do you want to be? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And what's your motivation to make it happen? You have to have a why. So I would say, write those things down. That's very important. We cannot talk about this enough, but relationships. Go to conferences. JB said something really cool in the last podcast that, you may go to an event and not learn anything from somebody on the stage, but it's those relationships and that networking that is by far the biggest benefit of a conference. Because of CES2, Jim, I met Jenny Hunt, who now I have the amazing privilege of serving 2,300 people in the Proven Private Label group because I partnered with her. That all came about because of a conference that I went to. So that's a relationship. Would I be doing this with you if I hadn't won that auction? Well, maybe down the line I would have, something would have happened and I would have met you and a relationship would have formed. But, that auction kickstarted our relationship. So guys, relationships are key. Focus, do not bounce around from one idea to the other. There's a lot of really good ideas in this community. A lot of people are doing different things. So you look in the My Silent Team group, you have somebody that might be not killing it on merch, selling t-shirts on Amazon. If you're doing RA and you're doing well there, don't think I have to turn away and now do merch. Or somebody like Jeff Clark's doing garage sales. Well, now I need to go do garage sales because he's good at it and that works for him. Well, that's his focus. So you focus on 1 or 2 things. Don't try to do everything. There's just so many ways to go about this and be successful. So what works for you? And then another one that I talk about in my book is, pray as though everything depended on God and work as though everything depended on you. And honestly, guys, it's good. I say it's, for me, you can call it luck. You can call it an unexplainable thing. But for me, it's the favor of God that's put me in position that, allowed me to be at the Jim, that email that for your auction in 2012, I had followed it. I knew that it was happening, but it wasn't until the morning of that it ended that I went to Mullane and said, we need to win this. And it was, I happened to be at my computer at that time because that's when we were doing furniture. So I could have been out and about delivering furniture that morning and missed the whole thing. But I was there and had the opportunity to win that. And because of that, we're able to serve so many people together. It's so much fun. But guys, there's so many opportunities. It's like you say, there's $100 bills floating around. You just got to decide which one to grab. All of them, there's so many good ideas. You want the right idea for you.
That's good. Yeah, I love that concept of good ideas versus right ideas. I think in the Silent Sales Machine book, I actually call good ideas poison.
That's right.
Because there's millions of them.
Yeah.
You could waste your time spinning in circles looking at all the good ideas. Right ideas. The difference to me, Ryan, is a right idea is something I'm positioned for. It's the obvious next step. It's like my life has led me to this moment. I'm the right person at the right time in the right place with the right resources and the right motivation level. Just makes sense. Good ideas, dime a dozen. You can waste your life spinning in circles.
Right.
Don't get stuck there. Man, if you want to hear the story, Ryan alluded, I almost told the story of the auction. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to let people go back to episode number 40 of this podcast. Like, what's this auction he's talking about? You guys met through an auction. Hey, go back and listen to episode 40. We tell the whole story. It's pretty entertaining story. It was basically a fundraiser thing that Ryan and Melaine won, and they went in big. Got my attention for sure. And that was the start of our relationship. But hey, man, it's been great hanging out with you today. Thanks for jumping on one of our first YouTube video podcast episodes, which we're getting great feedback. If you happen to jump over as a listener and you see one of our YouTube video episodes, hey, leave us a comment, share it, spread the word. We're seeing if there's any traction here. If it doesn't take off, we may not keep doing it. But so far, it looks like enough people are interested that this is something we might keep doing. So if you like these video episodes and you're watching on YouTube, hey, leave us some feedback. Or no matter how you're listening to our show, please share it. Spread the word, tell a friend, someone who needs financial security, someone who wants to be living that lifestyle that Ryan and I described today of, the liberty, the effortless motivation to do and to be who it is that you feel like you were made to be. That's what we want to help you do.
That's right.
Even if it's just consuming our free content that helps you get there. We're cool with that. You don't have to buy anything from us. We do have some great content and materials and courses that'll help those who are ready to take that step. But I've had plenty of people come up and just say, hey, your free content took me to a great place. I love it because we're truly in this to help you succeed and build that lifestyle that you could have using the internet creatively. I know Ryan's a great partner on our team, and there's dozens just like him with big hearts and creative content. I'd be nothing without these guys. So really, this whole organization would be absolutely worthless if it was just me, because I get to work with great guys like Ryan and Melaine and the rest of the team. So from all of us, from Ryan and Melaine and little Callan and his beautiful smile, to all of you great listeners out there, you business building warriors, fighting the battle every day, the ups and the downs, sometimes multiple ups and downs within one day. That's just how it feels sometimes. But know that it's worth it. We're in your corner. We're going to do this together. God bless you. You're in our prayers. We want to hear about your success. And we'll have another episode again for you real soon. God bless.